Skyscrapers: The History by Bonilla, Colin McCallum, and Caleb Rendon. There have been many inventions that have made the modern city livable, but could the most useful invention be the skyscraper that helps slow urban sprawl and creates houses among other commercial uses for thousands of people? It started with the home insurance building in Chicago, built in 1884 to 1885, also called the Father Skyscraper. The structure was made solving the problems of the load-bearing capacities of tall buildings. The man who had come up with the idea was William LeBron Jenney. The idea occurred to him because, being an engineer, he figured out that if you build a skeleton of iron, you could have stability, rigidity, and the height without making a building unnecessarily thick. City inspectors even halted the work on the first skyscraper using the new technique because they wanted to be completely sure it was safe. The prerequisites for the adoption of the skyscraper in the modern city can be broken down into three categories: needs, resources, and values. City dwellers who began constructing skyscrapers and incorporating them into modern cities had to fulfill a fundamental need in order to adopt this innovation. Skyscrapers have become a part of modern cities in order to satisfy mainly the need for optimizing the use of limited land in rapidly overcrowding urban areas. According to Edward Gleiser, the skyscraper enabled cities to add vast amounts of floor space using the same amount of ground area. The need for space led to the adoption of skyscrapers because without this need, people would have no use for building up. Large, more modernized cities were growing rapidly, and the city was expanding outwards at a rapid rate. The government of these cities eventually decided that the cities were getting too large, so they decided to build up, which not only saved space and kept the city from growing outwards, but also created more workspace, making the city more productive so they could produce and gain more money and resources. City dwellers of the modern world could not have adopted skyscrapers if certain key resources had not been available. The most important resource that led to the adoption of skyscrapers in modern cities has been strong materials to make tall standing buildings and safe elevators for making fast transportation throughout the building. Amy Bell states, using Bessemer steel beams, Fuller created steel cages that supported all the weight in tall buildings or skyscrapers. The Bessemer steel beams gave the ability to build higher than the usual building. The outside walls no longer had to carry all the way to the building. The buildings had more support, thus making it safer to build upwards. Plus, with the invention of the elevator or safer elevators, using steel beams to go high would be safer, and the elevators would make transportation throughout the skyscraper more easy. Using the strategy discovered by engineer William Jenney, they built steel skeletons for the building using the strong steel for even better support. When the first skyscraper was built, the home insurance building, using the technique, they started building with weak metal, but once they got their hands on the exotic steel, they used it for more support. Finally, these modern city dwellers believed on a set of values that has allowed them to continue to enjoy their urban lifestyle. The most important value that led to the adoption of skyscrapers was power. Power is the most important value for the invention of the skyscraper because a skyscraper is a way for people to show off their wealth and power. It could also have been almost a contest of who could make a larger building. People would also build skyscrapers to show or signify an achievement or show a sign of independence or power, and sometimes would be used for a religious symbol. For example, Karen Bars also states, "The desire to build big is nothing new. Buildings have been used to show off power and wealth, to honor leaders or religious beliefs, to stretch the limits of what's possible, and even as simple competition among owners, families, architects, and builders. The desire to build big has been around even in the most ancient of times, an example being the pyramids of Giza. The value of power ultimately led to the creation of skyscrapers because without it, people may never have built these to show off their power and money. Also, some of the first tall buildings were places to show their rulers' power, and those large structures may have given modern architects the idea and building strategy of building large buildings, as well as giving them a practical use. Due to the restricted land area available for development, the houses increase in height instead, as well as other commercial places and workspaces. Thank you.